Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Reunion, an FF7R podcast. I am your host, Kai, and joining me once again today is my infamous friend and co-host, Vyzz. How are you doing, Vyzz?
Pretty good. But earlier I had a headache, but I killed it, and now it's gone, and I'm well fed now, and ready to roll. How about you?
You just slashed that headache away.
Yes, I did.
Triple slashed it away.
I bravered it away.
Ooh.
I omni-slashed it away.
I like that. I'm doing okay, actually. Just kind of a slow start to my day. It's really gloomy and rainy around here, so when I woke up, I just was kind of disoriented because I slept a little too long, and then it felt kind of like it was nighttime, when I woke up. So it's like I felt like I should just stay in bed, like not get up. But I'm so happy that I changed my mind because I'm here today to talk to you all about Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, and all of the Square Enix events that happened in the past few weeks. So before we start talking about those events, I just want to remind everybody the best way to support us here on the podcast is to like, sub, and share the podcast. Hop on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, because we are available on all of them. Also, you can check out our Twitter account. We are going to be doing a giveaway, actually, so now might be a good time to tell you about that. So Vyzz and I are super happy and excited to let everybody know that we are going to be giving away a digital deluxe edition of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade to one lucky listener. So here's what you have to do. So you have to follow us on Twitter, and all you have to do after that is either retweet or quote tweet our posting about this giveaway for your chance to enter to win that digital deluxe version of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. And I just want to take a second here to bring light to something super awesome actually about the podcast. So we were #1 on Apple Podcast charts in Thailand and also #9 in France for a few weeks this month. So that's super exciting. I'm just happy about that, and I'm super appreciative as well to everybody that's been supporting us from the beginning, and also for new listeners who are just finding out about our podcast now and tuning in. It really does mean a lot, all of your support. It's just so incredible, and I just want to take a second to say thank you so much to everybody for listening to us and sticking by us for this podcast.
Yeah, thank you all. It means a lot to us.
So I just also want to read a review that we actually received on Apple Podcasts here from one of our amazing listeners. This is what they say. So they say, Kai and Vyzz are fantastic. The podcast sounds great, and their discussion and assessments are fantastic. They give great opinions and reactions without ever sounding cynical or judgmental. They truly love the games and franchise, and I always look forward to their updates. Absolutely recommend this podcast to anybody following Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that was from one of our listeners, Silisos. So thank you so much for taking the time out to leave us a review. We really appreciate it. All right, Vyzz, so what's been going on over at Cosmo Canyon Observatory?
Quite a lot, actually. Unlike most of the time, where I just say, oh, well, there's nothing going on, new video, and that's it. Lately, mostly because of Intergrade announcement, I switched gears and returned to the rough analysis format because that goes much faster, because I recorded myself just from notes, no scripts, and I just clean up what I recorded, so it's not really much editing work in there, unless I missed something. So 2 of those are already out. The third, covering the new battle elements, combat elements, will be releasing soon. I still need to finish recording that. And then we also started a new series called Pulse of the Livestream, which I'm personally completely hands-off. I only maybe assist if absolutely necessary, but I'm just the counselor and the one that gives the green light for him. But it's all on Kudakuma and Peep Snibbles, who brought this show to life. The inaugural episode is already up, which is more like an explanation of what this new format is, and that it will not distract from the main videos, because, well, I myself have nothing to do with that work-wise. So it should work out pretty well. I'm so stoked for their next episode and what they do,
Hmm.
because the editing is pretty cool and their interaction is really funny and it's interesting. And they really aim to bring factual news and stuff.
Yeah, and I've watched your episode Yuffie videos, and I'm super excited to see, I guess, your analysis of the battle system and the changes there, the additions to that, and talking about Pulse of the live stream as well. I think it's super amazing, actually, that, it's like a community project, right? So we have
It
members
is,
of
yeah.
the CCO community wanting to participate and create something like this. I think is absolutely incredible. So shout out to Kutakuma and also Peeps Nibbles. And I know that Rima and Rizzle are also involved. And
Yes.
I forgot to mention, it's not that I forgot to mention them because I did repost this on Twitter. What happened was I actually hadn't clicked on, there was like I think it was on your Twitter account, was a posting about Pulse of the live stream, and it had everybody who's involved on it, but I hadn't clicked on it to see the full list.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so my
No worries.
apologies
Happens.
to Rizzle and Rima, but shout out to you guys as well. I'm super excited and stoked to see what you guys have in store for us there on Pulse of the live stream.
Definitely. And if you want to know more, please watch the video. It's around 5 minutes long, I think, if I remember correctly. It's on our main channel, the Cosmo Canyon Observatory, and more to come. And also, what happened yesterday is something really, really cool. Schrödinger's baby seal invited me to his Team 6 or now Team 7 stream. It's a live stream talking to other people and going into theories and mysteries surrounding the FF7 remake. And yesterday it was my turn. We went nuts and bolts on this game. All the mysteries. Aerith stuff, Whisper, Sephiroth, Chadley, what else? Stamp.
Yeah.
The flowers, and there were so many things. And of course also Intergrade. It's worth a watch. It's 4 hours. So brace yourselves and make some time so that you can listen with one ear.
I feel like if it's like our listeners that are going to be watching and listening to this, they're used to it. I mean, come on.
Oh, they are.
Our
That's
episodes
true.
are
That's
so
true.
long. And they know by now, right? So I'm sure that they would be totally used to that and open to listening to the full 4 hours.
Yes.
But yeah, I tuned in, and it was so awesome seeing you there and listening to your conversation. And I really did enjoy hearing, I guess, your opinion about the multiple Midgar theories with the changes or the differences, I guess, in the cutscenes and the in-game model there for Midgar, because I think there's some reactors that look square and then some that look like cylinders. And then I liked that discussion as well, because we talked about it on a previous episode about the potentiality of there being multiple Midgars and that sort of thing. So it was really cool to see your full opinion about that, and also Baby Seals. And shout out to Baby Seal as well for playing my holo cover at the beginning of the stream. I thought that was super awesome. It was so nice for Baby Seal to include my cover in the live stream, and everybody was so receptive and supportive, and I was just sitting in the chat and people were just letting me know how awesome it was, and I just felt warm and fuzzy, like I was just like, wow.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
That's so nice.
It was really nice to listen to it again. It's really a nice cover.
Yeah, I think so too. And Rima as well. Shout out to Rima again for creating this music video. It's just phenomenal, and it just brings it to another level. You know what I mean? Just having that the video being cut like that, and then just hearing the voices of the characters, and then hearing my voice come in. I think it's so fitting, and it was so well done. So thank you so much, Rima. So if you want to jump over to CCO's YouTube channel, the original music video is there for you to listen to and watch. The audio only version without the dialogue is posted on the Reunion Podcast YouTube channel. So make sure, if you haven't yet, to jump on over to CCO or the podcast YouTube channel to listen to it there.
And if you want to really listen to my discussion with Baby Seal, those whole 4 hours, you can either watch the VOD on Twitch, or better yet, the YouTube video. And the link should be posted or retweeted on my either Vyzz Twitter feed or CC_, Observatory on Twitter. So
Mhm.
you should find them on both, or just hit up Schrödinger's Baby Seals Twitter feed
Yeah.
directly and just grab it from there.
Yeah. Also, give him a follow, give him a
Yes,
follow, subscribe. Honestly, some great Final Fantasy content coming out of Baby Seal's channel and also his Twitter account. So check out all of his socials and make sure you leave a comment or a review as well. It really means a lot.
it does, yeah.
All right, Viz. So once again, we are going to be talking about all of the Square Enix events. So we got a few events. We got the past few weeks the Square Enix Play event that was in Japan. It was in Japanese, but thank you so much to Audrey for once again live translating that whole event on Twitter. We will be talking about that event as well. There was also an article that was posted on RPG site that was the translation, I think, from the
Famitsu interview, was it from March this year sometime? Yeah, I think it's pretty recent.
yeah. So we will be talking more in depth about the recently released Famitsu interview featuring none other than Nomura-san and discussing the highlights of that interview. And some of the highlights featured were The First Soldier, Ever Crisis, and obviously Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. And there was another Square Enix event that happened on March 18th that we'll be touching on as well. All right, so let's get into it here. So the Square Enix Play event has happened. We didn't really get that much new stuff from this event. I was a little bit disappointed, but I'm not surprised, honestly, because we just had the State of Play, I think, a little bit earlier on in the month, where they showed Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and I wasn't sure, I wasn't quite sure like what we knew, like any new things that we were going to get, and what more they were going to tell us about Intergrade and the episode Yuffie DLC. I was hoping we might get a little bit like something new about the story maybe, but we didn't get that much stuff. So what we did get was an extended PS5 upgrade trailer. I think that it had some extra scenes in there. I know that there was one when I think they're on top of the train and it shows more of like what's happening there. The train starts moving or something like that. And we did get more of a look at the additional upgrades to the textures. And also there was an extended look at the differences in the modes because you can choose like 60 FPS mode or resolution mode. And there was some extra scenes there. But yeah, I didn't really notice anything else that we got. What do you think, Viz?
Yeah, it was that's pretty much it. But if I remember correctly, they explicitly stated that there won't be any new stuff, just like a deep look in what we already saw,
Mm-hmm.
which is correct. So we, as you mentioned, we saw a few more scenes, comparison scenes between PlayStation 4 and 5, in terms of lighting, fog, textures and stuff, and also photo mode.
Yeah.
And I also checked again the 4K and the 60 FPS mode, and in the 4K section is actually in 30 FPS flat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either 4K native and 30 FPS, or 60 FPS and probably a dynamic resolution upres
Right.
using checkerboarding or something. That's hard to see unless you have software that can analyze that, like Digital Foundry has,
Yeah.
or if you actually know what it does in the background. So it's, I was hoping for
Mm-hmm.
unlocked frame rate, but on the other hand, it's better to lock it to 30 and provide a stable 4K image and stable 30 FPS, other than jumping around between 30 and 60, because you will notice that. So
Yeah.
it's a good move from their side. The dynamic resolution is not that much of an issue. You barely notice that anyway. That's about that.
Yeah. I just want to take a second. I'm sad that we still have to choose between these, in
Oh yeah.
2021, it's a new console generation, and we still have to choose between resolution mode or like a faster FPS
Mm.
mode. Like I just wish that we could get both. Which obviously there's limitations to the hardware right now, and I know it's going to be I think that it's going to go away eventually in the future. I don't know if it might go away, the PS5 Pro upgrade, you know what I'm saying? Like if that actually ends up being a thing. It's just, for me, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's disappointing, I think, that we still have to choose between those, but I do understand why it exists. Do you think that the 60 FPS version of the game is like it has those upgraded textures of only the PS5 version, right? Like we're not getting a 60 FPS patch, but we're running the PS4 Pro like at
I don't
PS4
think
Pro
so, no.
fidelity, right? So
It's PS5, yeah.
yeah, so do you think that we're getting those extra textures, we're getting the 60 FPS. Do you think that like what are they doing there? You think it's a dynamic resolution that's happening so that we can get the extra textures with the 60 FPS? Is that what you're saying? That's what we're getting, or are we getting just
I'm pretty sure.
1080p? Or like you think it's going between like 1080p or 1440p, or what do you think?
1800 or something. It
Yeah.
really depends. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I remember, many games in the past have opted for a dynamic resolution,
Mhm.
which is then just up-res to 4K, but it's not true 4K, but at least the frame rate is there, a stable
Okay.
60 FPS.
Yeah.
And that's much easier to do without disruption, but unlocked frame rates and dynamic frame rates, that will hurt your eyes at some point, I wager,
Yeah.
because I checked that out, this 30 or unlocked and locked 30 FPS with Infamous Second Son on PS4. And then in the end, I just played with locked 30 FPS because the unlocked frame rates were
Yeah.
so jarring at times, especially when panning around with the camera. It was so weird. So I switched. So stable, lower
Mhm.
frame rate is better. So if they want stable 60, then that's good. Stable 30 is also good, but focus on the stable frame rates. Resolution is secondary, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Just as high as possible.
What do you think you're going to use? Do you think you're going to use the FPS mode, right?
Probably, yeah.
The most? Yeah, I think so too. I did this in Final Fantasy 15 as well because I think they had like a PS4 Pro version of that game, right? Because it has like
Yes.
resolution mode or FPS mode, and I played it on the FPS mode because I just couldn't with the frame drops, and it was just like you said, when you're turning the camera around, it was just super jarring, and I just couldn't do it. So I chose the FPS mode. So I think that once I get my PS5 and I get Intergrade, I'll probably play it on the 60 FPS version as well.
I'd have to see if you really see a huge difference in visual quality. Because if you do, then I want the resolution mode, because I'm now used to 30 FPS in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I agree.
But if it's barely visible, only if you really check, then I'll just play in 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Unless I'm recording for footage or for screenshots, then I of course need the true 4K for best quality.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just do both.
I did that as well in 15. Like when I wanted to look at the landscape and just like kind of take in the scenery and everything, I would turn it on. But then when I'm actually like battling, I would switch it back to FPS mode, because when you're battling, like you want it to be as smooth as possible. Well, for me,
yes.
I did anyway, because I felt like there was a lag between obviously there is anyway, but just input lag, between like my television and me pressing the buttons and everything.
Yeah, 15 had that.
You
Yeah.
still experience that, I think. And this game was pretty good, I feel, on PS4 with that, but I think that I would want it as smooth as possible in combat, especially. So
sure.
yeah,
it would be nice a hybrid mode where in combat it's 60 FPS, and then after combat it changes back to 30.
That would be
maybe
cool.
This would also be jarring. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd have to see.
Well, I'm hoping that like the flower textures are upgraded by default. So when you're looking at the flowers in FPS mode, they don't look as bad as they did in the PS4 version.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which I think it's going to be better.
You see the flowers in one short scene where Cloud is walking through the garden, but they're too far away to actually see, because if they're far away enough, then they might still render in low res, but then if you're actually close by, or if a cutscene is playing, they might show the better texture and models. I really, really hope so, because in those Aerith scenes in chapter 8 and 14, it was so jarring seeing all those crappy flower models, like 10 or 20 polygons or something. Probably more, but it felt like just a dozen polygons or something.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see the upgraded skyboxes, because that
Yeah.
the one, what chapter was it when you're
15?
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, the 15. That's the one they showed, and it really looks better now.
Yeah.
But I'm also interested in chapter 6 when you're on the underplate.
Yes, that one.
And it looks sharp but flat.
Yes.
So I don't know. They'd have to re-render this.
I'm hoping that it's fixed. We'll see. I guess not too much longer.
And the door.
Yeah, they haven't shown the doors yet.
Nope.
Right?
And
so
they
who
know.
Knows?
I'm sure they know.
They probably haven't updated those. They probably haven't.
Maybe.
Just watch. Just wait. Just watch.
Or they wait until the next trailer to show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then the new scene you mentioned also happened. This is for us who look at every single frame really important. Also new battle scenes, or not really new, but from a different angle and from different point in the boss battle. The trains you mentioned earlier is not really a train, but it's more like a freight conveyor belt with containers on it. And yeah, I'm interested in if this will become an actual mechanic, or if this is just part of a cutscene. Because if it's just this cutscene and we won't use the conveyor belt to go to places or to prevent our pursuers from following us or something, that would be kind of a letdown, but wouldn't be too bad. But I always like it if they include environmental interactions into gameplay.
Yeah.
And not just cutscenes. So, but other than that, there's not really anything new. Only a confirmation that the area where Yuffie executes her bloodbath limit break is the same area. It's not the exact same location, but the same building and an adjacent room, because I didn't see any matching elements within those rooms, so it's probably somewhere else, but still the same building, the same architecture, everything. And just before Yuffie seems to be falling off, in the background you can see the central spire of Midgar, the central pillar, is still a ways off. So we're still not close to where we fight the boss, because the boss area is just right next to the central pillar. So there is more in between. That's well, it could be that this is just due to Skybox,
right?
And it's actually pretty close. And when we then switch rooms, then the Skybox is either different, or the model of the central spire, which is actually modeled in the boss battle, just covers the actual central spire depicted in the Skybox. So it just looks closer. But in another area of this whole complex, it looks far away, even though it isn't, because we know how they treat skyboxes, like dirt. There are so many skybox errors in this game.
Yes.
So yeah. But one thing has been confirmed, that this yellow-haired guy, which I call Al from Avalanche, is actually accompanying us up to the boss battle.
Okay.
So we see him luring away the guards, then we follow him. Then we probably overwhelm the guards or lure him around until they don't find us anymore, something like that. And then Al accompanies us, shows us the way to where we need to go through Train Graveyard and all those buildings. We see him. And after the boss battle, we see him again. So he's probably with us all the time, like Leslie in chapter 14. And this was my prediction, and this is kind of the proof, because he's still with us during this whole area.
Right.
During this journey from the train station to this facility close to the central spire.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit because you've talked a lot about a lot of different things here. So
I did, yeah. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. It's great. So going back to the train thing in the trailer. So what you're saying is you think it's like a freight
Conveyor
train
belt,
or a
yeah.
conveyor belt. Oh, okay.
It's within a facility that just moves around containers, whatever there is it in. Probably, I thought about maybe some metal or something that this boss monster could extract from the earth, and then through some processing, laser stuff, they extract the metals and then move them around.
Okay.
Kind of like a mining facility
That
of
makes sense.
sorts. That's my first guess, but yeah, that's about it.
I just remember that you posted something on Twitter and it was two different photos. It was one of the train tracks before it was destroyed, I think.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's something different. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows that it was
Yeah, right,
destroyed
right, right.
after. So I don't know why, but I just thought, like, I don't know, like maybe that's how they get in, or like maybe they, I don't know, sneak their way onto the train and get in, but then it gets destroyed, or maybe that's what they're jumping on is on top of the train because that's how they get there when they showed that part in the trailer. I'm not sure. Anyway, it was just kind of an idea. I was like, oh, I got to bring that
Oh,
up
I
to
see,
Vyzz to
yeah.
see, but it might not make sense at all.
Well, what I pointed out is still in the slums in the outskirts where Yuffie is still alone, which I just saw this construction in the background
Hmm.
in the trailer, and it looked similar to the decrepit one,
Yeah,
the destroyed one
it
in
does.
Sector 5.
Yeah.
And in the Yuffie DLC trailer, you don't see what's on top. You only see it's a construction and could be the train track on top. And this shot with everything cloud with the destroyed version in the background actually shows train tracks on top. So it has
Hmm.
been used to move around resources or what
Yeah.
have you while building Midgar. And in Sector 5, just everything is destroyed because they dumped all the crap from above. I don't know.
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's a dump site. And also something that happened in this play. First, the fun part when Kitase appeared on his camera, he held the Buster Sword, probably a latex version or something, because or a
Yeah.
foam, styrofoam or whatever it is, because the tip was broken off already.
He likes doing that.
Yeah, he does. He probably just trained a little with it in his room and knocked things over, and this is the
That's
result.
funny.
Yeah, yeah. And then a little bit later, I think the male host was it who started asking,
Hmm.
"Wait, we do see Jessie's glove and stuff, but
Yep.
she's alive, is she? She can't be dead." And then the female one just chimed in, and Kitase said, didn't really know how to respond, and then just said, "Can't talk about this," and put his crossed fingers over his mouth. And many people thought, oh, because he doesn't just say no, and he can't talk about it. Oh, Jessie will appear again. She's alive. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe in a flashback or something. But she, in my book, she's 99.9% dead, and mostly because she got a whole arc and backstory and
Yeah.
owned her own chapter and had so much screen time and interactions with Cloud and stuff. And
Hmm.
this horribly sad death scene. And
Yeah.
it really said Jesse died in the chapter summary. When you go into the menu and through the chapter summary, it says Jesse died, but Biggs only got heavily wounded, and Biggs is alive at the end. And Biggs
Yeah.
barely got any exposure and backstory and scenes, which have. So that's why I think Jesse's dead. Wedge probably alive because killing somebody off screen when we only see black,
Yeah.
this is suspicious. And Biggs we know is alive for further
Hmm.
character arcs and stuff, which I really like. So I just wanted to comment on this real
Yeah.
quick.
Hmm. Yeah, that's super interesting. I don't think this is a signal for us to know that she is alive. I just think that obviously he's not allowed to talk about that, right?
Mm,
Like
yeah.
at this point anyways. So I don't take that as she's alive. It's just that he's just not going to say yes or no because
It's a mystery.
it's a mystery. Why would he? And also you know, they're tight-lipped about, you know, any of this
Yep.
stuff, so they're not going to say anything right now. All right, so moving on here, we are going to be going more in depth about the Famitsu article highlights here. The first highlight here in the Famitsu article is talking about Sonen. So, Yuffie's partner, Sonen, is not playable but will help with combination attacks. Here's what it says. So, while Yuffie is the only playable character in this new chapter, Sonen will be often fighting right alongside her. Instead of switching control like can be done in the main game with Barret, Tifa, and Aerith, Sonen will instead act on his own, so sometimes opportunities to perform combination attacks will arise. So, I think that this makes sense in the context of what we're getting, which is this Yuffie-focused story, DLC, and like we don't know how long this is going to be. I don't know how long you think it's going to be. I think it's going to be maybe 5 hours. Just ballpark, I'm not sure. And I think that's pushing it. And I don't think it's going to be super, super long. So for us to have, you know, Sonen and Yuffie as controllable, and then they both have their own weapons, they both have upgrading screens, they both have their own special abilities, they both have, like, I just feel like it's not enough time to spend doing all of that stuff if it's only going to be like a short episode DLC. So I like this. I would rather them focus on Yuffie and really flesh out her, you know, upgradability and her weapons and unique abilities, special abilities, and her use of materia and focus on that. And I do like how, you know, Sonen is going to be there to do the combination attacks and kind of back her up. I do like this element. And I'm okay with it. So people on the internet obviously are saying, well, it's because Sonen's going to die. I don't know. I mean, Red 13 wasn't controllable in the original, and obviously we know that he's still alive, but he's essential to the story, so we know that he's going to be alive, but like, it's kind of the same sentiment, right? Like, you're just jumping to that conclusion. What's the basis for that, you know? I don't know if he's going to die or not. We don't know until we play it. I hope not, because I think that he hopefully is a good addition to the story, and he might appear again later on in the subsequent parts of Remake after we're teaming up. Like, I feel like that would be a good opportunity maybe in part 3 or however many parts we're getting, you know, to come back and help us out again or something. I don't know.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I think so too. And it would be sad if they kind of just like used him as this kind of character and then they just threw him away, you know, and didn't reuse him later on. And it would be like, I don't know. It's like they spent time to introduce this character and then he's dead and then there's no extension of his story, what his background is, or him reappearing again, you know? Like, I feel like that would be so cool. Anyway, so I love the addition of the combination attacks. I think that this will add a refreshing and interesting element to battling. The battle system in Remake is one of the best aspects of the game. I think it's my most favorite battle system out of all the Final Fantasy games. And I've said this, obviously, we've talked about this on a previous episode as well. So I feel like this provides an opportunity for them to expand the battle system even more. So, you know, 3-person team up attacks or 2-person, maybe using magic and physical attacks at the same time, or maybe even something similar to like a Final Fantasy 13 paradigm system. I know I'm just kind of going on, I don't know, like I'm stretching it here, but I don't mean like, you know, being able to change these, you know, systems like the team on the fly, but maybe where you can choose something where it's a combination of magic. Maybe it's like a magic attack where 3 of them together use magic, you know? Or you could choose, okay, so it's physical damage or a combination. I don't know. Anyways.
I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, but I think that would be super cool. And I feel like I think I read somewhere online that the team is trying something new and that this Yuffie episode DLC is kind of like a sneak peek of what's coming and also for them to test out the new PS5 architecture.
Yeah, I read that too, yeah.
I feel like I read that somewhere, but I think that's super interesting.
I think it was, or was it, is it even in this interview or in a previous interview? I read it somewhere. I think
Yeah.
Nomura-san said something about this, about what Intergrade means, and then he, I think it was in a previous interview.
Yeah. But it makes sense, and I think that and we've been talking about this for a while about, what they can add to kind of flesh out the battle system even more, like improve the aerial attacks, maybe specific aerial attacks, team up attacks, and yeah.
Switch out characters in within the battle.
Absolutely.
FF10 style.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So what do you think?
So it's also like you. I think it makes sense that Sonon is not directly playable, because he would be, if he's fully playable and upgradable and stuff, then he would be a completely new addition to the roster.
And that's true.
Introducing that in a DLC would be kind of, I don't know, borderline insulting, because a DLC might maybe not be something that everyone will play, and then in a second part or whatever, he returns and he's just there again, and we don't really know what happened there. So
that makes sense.
I see this DLC as just an extended Yuffie introduction, and an expansion on Avalanche, but not as pertinent to the whole story, so that if you missed this DLC, you're not lost.
Right.
You maybe some references you miss, but it's not like integral for your understanding. And then it also makes sense to any new character you meet there either disappears afterwards or gets reintroduced at a later time in a context that doesn't make you question, oh wait, did I miss something? So this makes sense from this perspective. And the notion that he might die is also valid. I don't think it's confirmed. Some say, well, this means he's gonna die, he's 100% gonna die. I don't think so. It's a possibility, of course, like saving or protecting Yuffie or something like that, or sacrificing himself so that Yuffie can escape.
Yeah,
anything
is a possibility.
Yes. But he can also survive, and later on in a Wutai arc, when Yuffie steals our stuff, or even later when maybe Shinra starts the war for real again, and Shinra, Avalanche, and Wutai clash, then he's there as well with Biggs. I don't know. This is also possible, but I think this is a really good road in between. So he can't be a fully fleshed character that gets introduced in the DLC, but Yuffie alone would also be boring, because I think this battle system, this gameplay system they built up here, does only work in certain places if you're alone. If you're throughout a whole chapter, 2 whole chapters all alone, it's a little bit depressing probably, because you can't really make use of all the cool stuff. All the cool elements. So it's good that she has somebody that helps out, but not just a passive character like Red 13, who you can't do anything with. He completely acts on his own, autonomous. But here you can issue commands and also synergized attacks, so that they both attack at the same time, and maybe there are some other cool elements or systems they haven't shown us yet. I'm still almost dying inside to know what his little wind symbol means, because this is such a white card right now, or a wild card. It doesn't really make sense in this context. Also, the blue shimmer or glimmer around their status bars. It's something different than their normal team-up attacks, which only use ATB. So there's more to show. And I really like that. And as you said, it's like a sneak peek to what's to come. I'm pretty sure that all those new elements and mechanics that get introduced here will take over to the next game. And also quality-wise. That we see how the next game will at least look like and play like.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's about what I think is going on here and how I feel.
I like that he is included in this. I think that they could have done like a cop-out where other games have done this before as well, where it's like you're going through the game and there's like an assistant, like somebody's helping you, and then you have a phone, and then they call you on this device and they're like, hey, I've been like researching during
Oh, I
this
see.
time,
Yeah.
and I found this, and then they like send you items via the phone or something, and then you know what
Mm,
I mean? Like it shows them
yeah,
on
I know.
screen, and then they talk and blah blah. Like I feel like I'm happy that he's a character and they are going through this experience together, and I think they're going to play
Yeah.
off each other, and I think it's good that she
Yes,
has somebody to
exactly.
talk to. It's not just her on this
Mm.
device talking to somebody somewhere else, which they could have done, which probably would have been easier and saved time, but I
Oh, for
like
sure.
that,
Yeah.
and I hope that he does reappear for continuity and just so that, he can help the team maybe later on, or I don't know, I just hope that he's not like a throwaway character. If he dies, he dies. That's fine. I'm sure it'll be emotional as well because you've spent
Yeah.
this time with him, and I hope they do give some background about him. I just don't know how long this DLC is going to be. And I just want to get your thoughts about that. So, how long do you think it'll be? I'm thinking about 5 hours.
Um, let's say all the cutscenes together amount to, let's say 1.5 hours, because the cutscenes are long, and the introduction cutscene and ending cutscene and stuff, and everything in between. There's much more talking going on and directed cutscene, not just two people
Yeah.
standing next to each other and gesturing randomly.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that it will be lengthy scenes, especially the one we saw, which is just a part of their quest or their journey from point A to point B, just
Hmm.
something in between. And there are probably a lot of those. And then we have 2 chapters. The most we saw is only chapter 1, I assume, and them taking a train to Shinra HQ and then
Yeah.
ending up in Deep Ground is chapter 2. And establishing Deep Ground and everything that is in there just within 1 or 2 hours is too short, so I lean more towards 10 hours casual playthrough.
Okay.
Like not my playthrough, I'd probably take like 20 hours or something, but
Yeah.
by looking at everything and checking everything and but like a speedrun or someone who just ignores everything and
Yeah.
runs through just straight to the goal, to the finishing line, maybe 5-6 hours.
Yeah. That's what I
But
was
someone that's
thinking.
yeah, but someone who takes time but still isn't a completionist, like just normal playthrough. You look around, you just talk to people and
Yeah.
do like it's median exploration. I'd say 10 hours. Maybe I'm a bit blue-eyed here, but
No, I think it's a good estimate. And also, I think we might be getting some extra battle simulator content as
oh
well.
yeah.
They didn't really go into detail or even mention any of that, but from watching the trailer, that's what it looks like to us. Well, I think you think
Mm.
this as well, but
Yeah,
maybe,
yes.
beginning to end, if you do all the extra, battle simulator battles, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I guess, because we are going to be talking about like the new summons and new materia. Because I was thinking, like, how are they going to have these new summon battles? And then I thought, okay, so there'll probably be like extra battle simulator battles that you would have to do to get these summons from. So, beginning to end, if you do everything, it'll probably be about 10 hours.
Mm.
And I think that's generous. I think it's a good estimate. And I think for the money that you're going to be paying for it, I feel like it's a good chunk of content. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And it also depends on optional content. Like as I said,
Hmm.
some VR battles
Yeah.
that are new, maybe some optional side quest
Hmm.
at some point, which you can do optionally, or a side path which leads to some cool treasure or something.
Yeah.
Just some stuff that's not within the main path. Just
Hmm.
some side stuff would be nice.
I just thought of something.
Mhm.
Do you think that we might get some like a new mini game? That would be cool.
I hope so. I post the notion of a hand pump train car mini game.
Okay.
I think that's how you call it. Like this small car they used in the Wild West to get from point A to point B.
Oh.
Like this seesaw hand pump, which you can operate alone or ideally 2 people just can pump, and then
Mm.
ride along. Because I saw this elevated train track in the
Yeah.
distance, so I thought maybe Yuffie has to ride over this thing to get to Sector 7 faster. Or maybe just this mine wagon,
Yeah.
mined car or something. I don't know.
What game is it that has that in it? It's a really old game. It has like is that I think that's Donkey Kong Country or something like that, where you're in a mine and you have to like jump over these huge
Yeah, that's a
holes on the
train.
mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this mine carts, and then you jump in one, and then it falls because there's
Yeah.
a gap, and you have to jump to the next one or
Oh
something.
my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. I love those games.
We'll all have PTSD from this mini game because we'll just all flashbacks to like Donkey Kong
Oh boy.
Country or whatever. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I love those.
All right, so moving on to the next part of the article here, they do mention Sonen's design concept. So Nomura explains that Sonen is from Wutai and is working with Avalanche, which explains his military-style appearance. So in order to differentiate Sonen's fighting style from Yuffie's ninja-like ways, Nomura decided to give Sonen a use of martial arts and a quarterstaff, which also led to his outfit design. So I like his character model. I think that he looks similar to Zack. Like I said this before, it looks like they kind of took Zack's character model and just like edited his face or something. His hair is spiky, kind of long-ish, but not as long as Zack's. I personally would have liked them to go a little bit further. Just kind of just go for it. Add some color. I don't know. I was just thinking some red, maybe a sigil. On the back or something, or more armor that looks more native to Wutai, some more equipment. I don't know. I feel like right now it's hard to distinguish him from some of the other NPCs. Like when you're watching the cutscene, it's kind of like, yes, he has a weapon, but it's like the color. It's just dark. Like it's more of a gray. Maybe that's the point.
That's the point, that he doesn't draw attention to himself.
Yeah, that's what I. That's
other
what
people
I said.
know that he's from Wutai. Yeah.
I just said that maybe they wanted him to blend in, and obviously they're
Yeah,
undercover.
lay low.
So, and that's why also Yuffie, I think, is wearing her Moogle
Yes.
cape or garb or whatever, which does make sense, I guess. Kind of, but it also it does make her stand out because like nobody else is wearing that. So
just for different reasons.
it might hide her face because she has a hood, but
yeah,
I don't know.
and her Wutai gear, Wutai attire with the
I don't know.
This arm
yeah, extension.
How do you call this arm protection thing? I don't know.
Yeah, armlet.
It looks.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just looks like something foreign and maybe something unique to Wutai, and people will know how Wutai ninjas and shinobi look like.
Yeah.
So that's probably also why.
Anyway, I feel like he's fine. I just feel like they could have just upped it a little bit more, I guess. But I understand if they're undercover, it does fit with the story, but...
It does, yeah. Although you can make out a few details that kind of remind you of the Wutai warriors. For example, the shoulder guards, those few plates, the plated thing on his shoulders.
I feel like they could have made it red or something.
There are kind of red-brown.
Yeah. Just to make it more like reminiscent of Wutai, I guess. Like in the original, when you go there, like it's yellow, and red.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
like it's more bright colors.
True.
But anyway.
Yeah, my headcanon is now it's for laying low purposes, for just to not stick out. With a neon sign, hey, I'm from Wutai.
That's true. Hey guys,
it's me. I'm your worst
enemy.
I feel
like, that's true. That's true. I was gonna say that I feel like Johnny has more of a character kind of thing, like design, than Sonen does. Like I just feel like
true.
He has like pink hair or purple hair, and it's kind of like out there, but that's him as a character, I guess. But yes, I don't know.
Sonon is more grounded and stands on both feet and kind of the opposite of Yuffie. That's also
That's
what
true.
they talked about. I'm not sure if it was in this interview or in the other ones, or just in some summary. I think in the Gematsu article where they also revealed some background info and stuff. They said that Sonon is kind of a foil to Yuffie's brash nature and stuff. So
Yeah,
he's
that makes
the
sense.
calm, grounded one, and Yuffie is just the explosive, emotional one.
Yep. Yep. So
Who
they
doesn't care
balance
about
each other
anything.
out.
And yeah, exactly. That's I really hope that Yuffie gets some sort of mini character arc there. That she maybe learns a little bit to rein it in, or maybe respect certain people more, or to lay low when needed, or just something. Or maybe appreciate comrades more. Maybe if someone actually dies or sacrifices himself for her by protecting her,
Mm-hmm.
that she appreciates the ones that do look out for her, and not just command them around and just do whatever Yuffie always does and be mean. And this could also then carry over to how she interacts with our group.
Yep.
That if someone dies, maybe she doesn't want to get too closely attached to maybe someone of our group
Mm-hmm.
dies, then she'll get hurt again. Or maybe it will all change the interactions in general, that she's not as extreme as she is in this DLC. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just speculation.
Yeah. And then you did say on here that you think that he looks a little too Western
Oh
and
yeah,
not
right.
enough like.
It kind of, maybe it's some bias I have. I don't really know, but he doesn't really look like someone native to Wutai. So either he is not really native from there, but just grown up there, not genetically from Wutai,
Hmm.
or Wutaians don't look as different as we think they are, which would also be cool, because then we see, well, Wutaians are not that different to us than we think they are. And
Mm-hmm.
with some caricatures, like in South Park, the Canadians, they are
Oh.
drawn completely differently and
Oh,
are
it's so
actual
bad.
caricatures. It's so bad, yeah.
But that's in
Of
most
course,
of
it's funny,
US
but it's
media. It's most it is.
yeah,
It's
true,
it's
true.
everything. It's everything. It's like that's not actually how Canadians are,
Yeah, I don't really know.
but nobody says anything because we're all too nice. So, you guys
Yeah,
can
that's
laugh
also
about
true.
it.
Yeah. So I thought about this because Shinra ups the propaganda all the time, all the anti-Wutai propaganda, anti-Avalanche propaganda and
Hmm.
stuff. And then if we see them not really interacting any
Yeah.
different than Midgarians or people from other places of the world, that they're
Yeah.
not really that different. Maybe this is the point. I don't know. It's just a little bit of brainstorming here. But
Yeah.
just is, if I look at his face here on this article, it just looks like not really typical, but rather Western, not really Asian inspired, which Wutai clearly is.
Hmm.
And Yuffie does look Asian inspired.
Yeah.
Of course, a little bit more exaggerated, kind of like
Hmm.
Tifa. It's not really a real human. It's something between real and anime.
Yeah.
And Sonon does look like more like a real person here. That's
Yeah.
probably the jarring part, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I
I'm
think so
just
too.
spitballing here.
Hmm. All right. So moving on to the next part of the article. It says no future DLC plans for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Moving on to the sequel. So Nomura states that originally the intent was to create a PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake and not necessarily DLC. However, due to the nature of the upgrade, the Yuffie sections were given the DLC label. So, Vyzz, I see that you have some clear and concise jot notes here. So, what do you think about no future DLC plans for Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Well, good. Just focus on the main game, finish it ASAP, and we're good. And then maybe think about expanding on certain storylines or characters and stuff that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get like 1-2 DLC in between, it will certainly push back the release dates, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
they seem to know that as well. And Nomura said several times that he wants to get this out ASAP,
Yeah.
even before it came out, or even before the PlayStation Experience trailer, or around that time the PlayStation Experience trailer released in 2015, somewhere in there, he also said, I think it was then when they released or revealed the episodic format, he explicitly told us that he also wants to bring us the parts or the individual games faster, and if they split it up,
Yeah.
they get to us faster. In contrast to one huge 200-hour game, which takes like 10 years to develop or something like that. So
Yeah.
so this is really his vision, his thinking, that he wants to get this to the public or to the fans ASAP. But ASAP also means like maybe 3 instead of 5 years. Because you know how Nomura is, he's perfectionist, he has a
Yeah.
vision, he wants it good quality and many details. We saw this with Kingdom Hearts 3, which had so many different levels and worlds
Mhm.
and elements and mechanics and stuff. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like me. I also want to bring out or release individual videos much faster, but I also don't want to compromise on quality. So I feel him.
Exactly. Yeah. I think this is good, like you said. I think that, they should be focusing on the next part now, and I think they are. I think that they've come out and said
Yes.
that they're on full production and development has started, I think, for quite some time now. So
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I think that what probably happened was they got PS5 dev kits and they tested hardware, and since they knew that they would be upgrading to the PS5 with the visuals and all that stuff, that they probably thought, let's test the system and see what it can
Mm,
do and just develop this, Yuffie DLC episode to help flesh her out as a character, add more
mm.
story, and something new, like a new experience for PS5 owners. And since they were going back to it anyway to upgrade everything, like, why not? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I like it. I think that it's great. And I'm happy that we are getting this version of the game and that we are getting the Yuffie DLC. And we're getting some extra story and we're getting a bunch of stuff. Like we're getting more materia, we're getting more summons, we're getting, more story content, more battle, a different type of battle system as well,
Hmm.
more fleshed out. Like it's a lot, and I'm happy that we're getting it. I think that I don't know if it
Same
was
here.
Nomura or Kataze that said that at the end, like they're not going to be doing any more DLC going forward until the entire project is complete. I think
Yes.
at the end of once all the parts are out, potentially they could, but who knows what'll happen, or how many parts it'll be. Who knows what'll happen at that time, but yeah. I'm just happy that it's not like Final Fantasy 15 with the,
Oh yeah.
episode Ignis and episode Noctis and episode, which
Yeah.
didn't end up coming out, which they did have plans for, and all that was canceled, obviously, after
Yeah.
Tabata had left and everything. So I'm okay with that. But this is kind of also gives more of, I guess, an incentive for people to buy the PS5 version of this game,
Yes,
because
for
it
sure,
comes
yeah.
with this, the Intergrade comes with the Yuffie DLC.
Mhm.
So I'm sure it'll help sell, copies of Intergrade as well, which is smart, and they want to sell as many
It
copies
is,
as
yeah.
possible. So
I also have a feeling that they wanted to expand on the other Avalanche group
mhm.
and Yuffie anyway, but
Yeah.
maybe weren't able to integrate it into this first base game and not into the second one either. So they opted to put it into a DLC,
Yeah.
which then can also act as their testing grounds, as you said before, for a fully fledged PS5 title,
Yeah.
not cross-platform, purely PS5, and also test the grounds with some new mechanics to
Mhm.
refine them, so that the second part of the remake project then is really fleshed out and solidly tested before, and then
Yeah.
actually works. So
Yeah, I
makes
think so
sense, yeah.
too. And I think that also including her in this story in Remake will help with her story in the next part.
Yeah,
And like you
definitely.
said, it could potentially be the introduction of her and the party and her stealing their stuff, or because we were talking about this earlier on a previous episode. How are they going to do that? Like, when
Yeah.
they leave Midgar and all their equipment gets stolen, and how are they going to do that? Are they going to like restart everything, or it's not going to happen at all? Well, I think the potentiality of it happening is higher now because she is being
Mhm.
introduced now. but maybe there's connections there between, Remake Part 2 story and this DLC. Help bridge the gap, I guess, which also
Yes.
goes back to the name, the word Intergrade, because that's what is the meaning behind the word Intergrade, right? It's like bridging the gap, like it's
Hmm.
something that's in the interim, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
in,
it goes from point one to point B. It evolves from point
yes,
one to point B. It's in the middle, yeah.
yeah, which I like.
It's in the middle of the gradient, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
intergrade.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next part here. So Final Fantasy VII Remake streaming restrictions will be relaxed once Intergrade releases. So the game's almost been out for a year, and I actually didn't even know that streaming restrictions were still in place. So that's pretty crazy that, I guess parts of the game are restricted, like you can't
Hmm.
stream them. I understand why, obviously for spoilers and everything, but the game's almost been out for a year. It came out April 10th, right? So we're almost only a few more weeks and it'll be a year
Hmm.
anniversary. So I think
Yeah,
it's good. I think that it's time that, for that to be relaxed and streamers can just, get on with what they do best, which is stream these games, and to be able to see their reactions to these scenes and everything and not having it restricted, So,
for sure. Yeah, it was a pain for people who didn't have a capture card to
mhm,
stream or record or make screenshots of Chapter 18. And
right.
I think also the visual entertainment hall presentation, the Cosmo Theater in Shinra HQ, I think that one was also blocked. Not
Okay.
100% sure, but something else was blocked, Chapter 18 and something else.
Mhm.
But I'm really glad that they lifted and finally lifted this restriction because, in my opinion, it makes sense during the first month, maybe two, and
Yeah.
then just remove the restrictions with
Yeah.
an update. But they didn't want to create an update anyway, which I think when was the updates released? December or something, or January? I don't remember when. It was so long after release when they
Yeah, it was.
published their first update, which
Mhm.
didn't do much
Yeah.
other than maybe fix a few minor bugs, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Not the door.
So do you think there's still going to be streaming restrictions on the Yuffie DLC then? Or do you think that no, it's just going to be fair
Probably.
game with everything? Because it says it's going to be relaxed once Intergrade releases. So I guess they mean just the base game and not the Yuffie DLC, because that would kind of be weird. They're releasing the Yuffie DLC, but
Yeah.
there's no restrictions on that, and that's new. You know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
Anyway, they haven't specified, so I guess we'll
They
find out.
didn't. Just the base game has no restrictions anymore. That's how I understood it. But
Okay.
integrate, I don't think there's they go into integrate specifically.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next part of the article here. We are talking about new materia and summons. So Nomura also quickly confirmed that the Yuffie episode will have some new materia and summons. So this, I think for me, has me the most excited about this. I'm happy they're giving us new materia. I was kind of thinking like, do they mean new materia or do they mean new as in existing materia that already exist but what weren't included in the remake? Obviously, we did get some new materia. Well, it was kind of like a new take on a materia because we had traditional materia from the OG Final Fantasy VII that had new names, that had similar abilities, but it kind of amalgamated a bunch of different things together. I'm thinking like Magnify, Prey
Mm.
obviously was new and Chakra, but it could be both. It could be that it's existing ones that are new, and then also they're creating like new ones with new abilities. And from the screenshots here that I'm looking at of Yuffie in battle, like it looks like she's got these orbs around her. So do you think that's like a special ability of her weapon, or do you think that might be like a materia magic that she's casting or something?
The orbs around this is just long range chi attacks, like
Okay.
her ninja ability when she's not holding her shuriken.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you have this throw and retrieve triangle ability. If you throw, the
Oh,
shuriken flies towards the enemy, stays there, and
perfect.
during that she is unarmed, but can then use unarmed attacks, which seem to be magical. I'll get more into that in the upcoming video because it's a
Mm-hmm.
bit more complicated than that. Um, and that's always only when she uses those long-range G attacks. Sonon can do those as well, and he also receives those orbs around. So this is just an alternate way to attack, not with the weapon itself, but with G energy probably, or ninjutsu abilities stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just normal attack and long range.
I don't know if we saw any use of materia in the trailer. Did you slow down the trailer to be able to see in the menu if they actually choose any materia? I don't think they do.
No materia. We see Yuffie use an ability.
Okay.
Where we also see her jump into the air and then create this huge circle with more of those glyphs within. And this really seems just to be a normal innate ability she can learn, weapon ability.
Yeah.
And then there's also something interesting you see in the play version, like the extended PS5 trailer, which also includes new Intergrade scenes.
Yes.
She uses, as her last combo attack, uses lightning, but it doesn't use up any ATB or any MP.
Oh, okay.
But that's also a new mechanic. And I have also a little teaser. If she does that, and if you, the listener, are able to either slow down or pause during that when she casts this lightning, check out her square symbol right next to her name. It's not gray anymore. It has changed. And this is why she can cast lightning without using any resources.
Ooh.
Just for those who want to check before I
like
release my video.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that I think it was her limit break. I think it's do they show her limit break? Bloodbath, right?
In the first 2 frames of this scene, you see it just disappear, the menu, yeah. You can read Bloodbath.
Yeah. And then people were looking at the change, I guess, in the RSEB or whatever it's called for the rating. It includes blood. So then people were like, oh my gosh, we're getting blood. They added blood in that scene instead of a purple goo. We're getting blood. And it could just be that, you know, the name of her ability is Bloodbath and it might show some red stuff, but...
It does show blood particles when she does her final attack.
Yeah, like that's probably what it is.
Yeah. It just shows blood. It's probably not really the blood from the enemy, but more like blood effect because it's called Bloodbath.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, so I'm super excited about this. And also they do say summons, you know, which is implied that there will be more than one because it's plural. So I'm super excited about that. I don't know how many you think we might get. I think we might get 3, 2 or 3. I don't know. I think that 2
one
is a
for
good
each
amount.
chapter.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think that's a good amount.
Mm.
I just wrote here, I think it would be cool if we did an episode, maybe next episode, where we go more in depth about the summons that aren't being used and which ones we might think that might be included. And I know that you've made a list here actually, but maybe we can go more in depth on the next episode about this. I think that'd be super interesting as well. Like which summons we want and which ones we think might be in it, but yeah.
We can do that and also include the next part, or which summons we think are included in which future part.
Yeah, that would
and
be cool.
We can expand upon those things and just general gameplay, materia, summon predictions for future parts and integrate. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So, what do you have? You have written here the remaining summons. So did you want to go through those and then I guess give your own opinion about?
Yeah, I can just quickly run through. Just for reference, the following summons we haven't seen yet that are in the original game are Ramuh, Titan, Odin, Kujata, Alexander, Phoenix, Neo Bahamut, Hades, Typhoon, Bahamut Zero, and Knights of the Round. And I'm pretty sure we won't get any of the greater ones, the badass ones, the crazy ones.
Yeah, I think so too.
Ramuh and Titan are a good bet.
Yeah.
Maybe Typhoon. I also posted this on the stream yesterday that maybe it's Typhoon because of the wind. And so on seems to be wind related, so maybe
makes
sense. But Ramu and Titan are next on the list. And Titan does have an element we haven't seen in the remake yet, Earth. It's
That's
only
true.
wind, lightning, fire, and ice.
Ah.
So this could also include the Earth materia, magic materia, which would be also new. So we get the new elements within the DLC, which is then also new again in the next game, kind of. I kind of like that, but Ramu is pretty good bet because lightning, we already have this element, and he was absent, and would be really nice against machines, mechanical enemies. So yeah, I'm hoping for those. And the other ones like Odin, Kachata, Alexander, and all the others should come much later because they are much more
Yeah.
significant and more powerful. Phoenix kinda has this connection to Fort Condor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we can put our bets on Ramu, Titan, and maybe Typhoon. Because this was just this random optional
Yeah.
summon you could find in the Ancient Forest, which was also very obscure in terms of
Yeah.
location and content.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe.
love the music from that area, though. I love it.
It's really cool, yeah,
It's
it
so
is.
good. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that Typhoon is a good bet, I think. Just based on the fact that, like you said, Sonnen has some kind of like affinity towards, wind.
Mhm.
I think that's I don't know. Anyway, who knows? But I think you're onto something here for sure.
Let's hope so.
And then you did state that also you think we're gonna get new yellow or purple materia and not necessarily like green materia.
Yeah, because Sonon has 2 purple materia, independent ones, and Yuffie has all 3,
Mm-hmm.
magic, command, and independent. So could be that they are initially equipped with completely new materia, either new to the whole series or whole compilation, or something that was exclusive to Crisis Core, for example, or just
Ooh.
one from the OG. Because Crisis Core also had a few. I don't quite
Yes.
remember which ones, but it had new materia there as well.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm excited about this. I think this is the thing
Yes.
I'm most excited for. I'm excited for the story, obviously, but the battle system for me is so much fun. I'm
Oh, it
so
is.
stoked just to go back to this world and experience it again and this new story, but with this expanded battle system, the team up attacks and the new material, everything is
Especially the team
just,
up attacks. I'm so
yeah,
stoked for
it's
those.
gonna be amazing. I'm really excited about that.
Just imagine Tifa and Cloud doing a team up attack, and Aerith and Cloud, or Aerith and Tifa, Barret and Cloud, and maybe
Exactly.
3 of them, and
Why
Aerith and
not?
Red. So many possibilities. Like in Chrono Trigger, this was also really nice.
Exactly. Come on. Persona 5. Hello.
Yeah.
Come on, Square Enix. Let's go. That's like a really great part of the battle system in Persona 5. So let's put that in.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so moving on here. The next part of the article talks a little bit about the first soldier. So why make a Final Fantasy VII battle royale game? So Famitsu's interviewer asks a question that perhaps a number of us were wondering. The First Soldier is a surprising announcement of a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale game, and what sort of audience is Nomura targeting with its announcement? So he said that an observant point is fan demographics for this long-running IP, and I totally understand this aspect of the creation of this game. So we're talking about, what's super popular right now. It is, Fortnite and other larger scale battle royale games. What's super popular as well is mobile games,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Japan and Asia.
Yes.
Huge money makers, and they're hugely popular. I mean, look at Genshin Impact or Genshin Impact, whatever you want to call it. You know what? No hate, just appreciate.
GIF.
But I call it Genshin Impact. Anyways, so look at the success of that game, right? I mean, come on. I think that it's a great idea. Why not? I just hope that it's good. You know, I want it to be good. I don't want them making things that are trash just to cash in. I just hope that it's good.
Same.
You know, and I don't care. I don't care that it's a mobile game. Really, I think that there's a market there, and I think it's going to attract new players to this game and hopefully bring us, you know, more seasoned players that know about the OG, that have been with the series for years, into this new, I guess, area of gaming as well. Like for me, I never use my phone for video games. I never do, but
Same.
I feel like I'm going to use it more now because of the fact that this is coming out. I'm going to try it. And if it's good, then I'll, you know, continue to play it probably casually. Like I said, I bought into that Final Fantasy 15 mobile game, and that, unfortunately, it wasn't that great, and I did put money into it, but it wasn't very good. And I knew that, like, I was never going to get where I wanted to get with that game. I would have had to pay so much money. I
Yeah.
just hope it's not like that, you know? I just hope that I think it'll be good. I'm positive. I'm positive. And I don't fault them for doing this because, you know what? More money in their pockets is more developmental money to bring
Hmm.
us more Final Fantasies in the
For
future.
sure.
16 and more spin-off potentiality there, and on PS5 and other platforms. So, yeah.
Especially since Avengers didn't do so well.
Yeah,
They lost a lot of
exactly.
money on that. Even the earnings they made on
Mhm.
the remake didn't recuperate their cost, as
Which is
far
so
as I remember.
sad. It's
It
it's really
is, yeah.
sad, but it was kind of their first foray into that type of game, though. You know what I mean? Like, because they wanted it to be more. They wanted it to be more like a subscription based, didn't they? Like they
Yeah,
wanted
game
it.
as a service, yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of, but they didn't go all the way. I feel that was the problem. Like they didn't go as far as they could have. Like I feel like they should have just went there for it. And apparently the story content is pretty good. And the gameplay, I played the demo. I liked what I
Hmm.
played, but I'm not really big into superhero type of stuff. You know, it's not really my, like it used to be when I was younger, and now I've just kind of grown out of it, you know? And I enjoyed it for what it was when I think I played the beta or the demo, but it's just not for me, you know? But I feel like they could
Yeah,
have went
same.
even further. And if they did have it like a battle royale kind of thing, like a subscription service kind of, I don't know, but just more like, I guess, Fortnite or something. I don't know. But you're not going to capture that popular as like the popularity of Fortnite. You're not going to
No,
get it
definitely
because
not.
it's like the first, it's not the first, but it's just not, it's just so big now that it's just impossible, I feel. But anyway.
Yeah, I think the main point of this is, as you said, money, to to create something that makes the money to support some more developments in the Final Fantasy space. And
Mhm.
Battle Royale is the hot steak right now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants it, or a lot of people want to play this. Sometimes I've heard of people who start to get sick of, oh, not another Battle Royale. Oh,
Yeah.
not another one. But it's still something that people like, and it makes for short and cool bursts of spending time playing games.
Exactly.
And since a game that is widely accessible in the Final Fantasy VII universe,
Mhm.
people who play this who are not privy or knowledgeable about Final Fantasy might think, oh, this Ifrit thing looks cool. Oh, this Guard Scorpion is a really nice
Mhm.
enemy and stuff, and the surroundings and this Midgar city in the background looks really cool, and this church and stuff. Where is this from? What's Final Fantasy VII? Then maybe do some research and maybe are interested in also this kind of game. It's in the end, it's an action RPG, even if it's more more goes towards turn-based tactics with a slowdown at the menus, but still, it's AAA. It's also accessible and has a great story, has good
Yeah.
reviews and score. So they probably are able to capture more bigger audience with that. That's at least their goal. If they succeed,
Yeah.
we'll have to see. But I can see that being one goal they could achieve, at least to some extent. But Maximilian Dude has this theory that they were working on a Battle Royale game anyway, and then they thought, how do we make this popular? Oh, let's just slap Final Fantasy VII Remake on it and call it a day. Yeah, something like that. And it's possible that was part of the plan, at least in the upper department of Square Enix, those who make sure that the money flows. Yeah, but I'm not really upset. I was cringing hard when they announced it, but in the end, it kind of does make sense. And if they really create an enjoyable experience, even if I personally won't play it, but others who are interested in this, if they are happy to play this and this PvEVP system will work out well, because they already talked about that you can kill enemies and other things and level up and get better, and then use this additional experience to then fare better against other players. Could be pretty interesting. I think in Fortnite is to build a base while this whole Battle Royale thing is going on, and being smart about it and quick about it to get some more advantages. And here it could just be the same, not base building, but more like running around and getting more experience, find items and equipment and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it has potential to be really good, and I think there are people going to like this. There's always people who like it anyway, even if the mass majority doesn't like it. You know what I mean? But I think that I just hope that it's good, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Honestly, if it makes them a ton of money, I just feel like it'll be funneled into more Final Fantasy projects. I hope anyway.
Yeah, same.
And more Final Fantasy is good, and I'm into it. So. All right, so the first soldier does have a job system, apparently. So you did write some notes here about that, Vyzz. So did you want to go a little bit more in depth about that?
A little bit more, because there's not much info about that, and I'm not too privy to Battle Royale games. But what I could understand is that apparently you choose your job, or as it's called here, style, for each battle. So if you jump into a round of Battle Royale, you choose a job, and then you have this job locked in, and then just battle it out until you survive or die or something, and you can choose a new each round, I suppose. But apparently, if you keep using the same style, it also will have some advantages. So I could see that if you keep using the same one, you get maybe some more multipliers, more EXP, and get proficient much faster, or earn new abilities that you can only earn if you play 10 times consecutively with this style, for example. Or maybe some temporary stat boost if you used, let's say, the gunner before, and use it again, you have a slight stat boost or something, because that you just have been training with this, you're warmed up or something like that. I can see that. So there's an incentive to keep the same, but also to switch it up, because in certain situations, other styles make more sense. Maybe depending on your team, because you can be into a team of 3 also. So it really depends, I guess. And I really hope they have thought this system through, that it actually works, and that it's fun, and brings advantages and disadvantages depending on the situation, that you have to think about what to choose. Stay with the same or switch it up. And I'm pretty sure they'll be able to find this out in our next segment, the beta testing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's super cool that they're going to include this job or style system for each battle. I like anything that, where you have a role you play, whether you're like a damage or a tank or a support. And I hope those roles are expanded on if they have those. I think that it's just not thrown in there, and because something like that is really hard to balance. So I'm scared that they're not going to like take the time to be able to actually go in and make sure that it's everything is fair and balanced properly. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Or like a certain DPS hero is super overpowered and then they don't go into it and patch it or update it to balance it out more, because
Yeah.
stuff like that takes a long time. And I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch and Dota. Like every time they introduce a new hero, even like it changes up the meta, and it's super hard to be able
Yeah,
to
for sure.
balance something like this. So anyway, I think it'll be super interesting to find out more information and hopefully to try this. Like you said, the next part here is the beta testing is hopefully going to be starting up soon. I'm going to sign up if possible, if it's an open beta. I want to try it. I'm intrigued to try it. Do we know that is this going to be a paid game, or is this going to be free to play with gotcha mechanics, or do we know? I don't
I
know
don't
if they
think they
came out and
mentioned
said.
this.
Not
No.
about the first soldier, but they did mention it in Ever Crisis, which we're going to
Yeah,
talk
exactly.
about in a second. But yeah, I'm not sure, but I want to try it in the beta to see how it is. And if you have to buy it, I think it'll be a determining factor for me. It depends on how much it is, you
Mm,
know?
for sure. But does it say if it's an open or closed beta? I think I've read something about this somewhere,
I'm
but
not
I don't
sure.
remember if it was here.
It might be closed beta, at least first. I think it might be a
Oh,
closed
for
beta.
sure, it will start out with a closed beta
Yeah.
and maybe then go into an open beta. But there are no further information
Yeah.
about this, so we'd have to wait for further announcements.
Yeah. All right, so moving on here, we are talking about Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. So it says here in the article that story chapters are free to play, but the game will feature gotcha mechanics for obtaining weapons. So here's what Nomura says. So he says, you will be able to play chapters released for free. The monetized element is basically loot boxes containing random weapons. Some of the special weapons also come as a set that includes new costumes that were not in the original games, adding a new way to enjoy the story so that you won't have seen it before. All right, Vyzz. So I know that we
Hmm.
talked on our last episode. You were pretty much against the gotcha mechanics. You were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't want gotcha. I just want to pay for it." And now it's come out, so I didn't get a chance to talk to you about your thoughts on that. So I thought about you when immediately when I read this. I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, they just had to, right? Yeah, but I think there is a way they can be smart about it
Hmm.
to lure in players who are willing to pay, but not alienate people who don't want to
Exactly.
pay and just play the game.
Yeah.
And I really hope they don't lock away necessary weapons or known weapons, like from the original game, or even weapons that kind of, like, let's say, if only the cheap weapons, which are really weak, are free,
Yeah.
and the other ones you have to get through this loot box gacha system, that you have it more easy or have it easier,
Yeah.
then I don't really know if I then want to keep playing.
Yeah. That makes
But if it's
sense.
just some additional weapons, like some new designs, ones that work beside the other weapons, may have some advantages, but don't either completely break the game or are so powerful that the game is balanced towards the loot box
Yeah.
weapons. Um, yeah, I really hope they figure this out. That it's well balanced, and those who don't want to pay still have an enjoyable experience, or can at least um, buy them with in-game gil, just high
Yes.
price, for example, or just buy them directly for maybe $5 or something. Buy a
Hmm.
pack of weapons with a costume for Cloud, and that's good. But on the other hand, if you can just directly buy it, most people won't spin the wheels,
Yeah.
the gotcha wheels. So probably not. It would really undermine the money making machine.
Yeah.
So maybe there will be some events or something, or some weekly challenges where I can win those things without paying.
Yeah. That would
Could
be
also
cool
be the
too.
case, because then it will also incentivize people to continuously play and go through those separate challenges and boss battles. I think you have we have a segment on this later here, but
Yeah,
yeah, I just hope they don't screw this up and get too greedy.
I agree. Yeah, so he does say that you'll be able to play the chapters released for free, which I love. I love the fact that there's
Hmm.
not really a barrier to entry here for anybody. So you just download it, you get the chapters you can play through with the base, equipment or the base characters that are included. I think that that's great.
Hmm.
I think that it has the potential to be really good, and to be exciting. The fact that, you get these loot boxes containing random weapons and potentially getting special weapons, maybe legendary weapons or something like that, new costumes and all that stuff. I hope that they do have in-game currency, like you said. So maybe as you level up, you get extra gil, or after you defeat the enemies, if you defeat them a certain way, or maybe faster, or you don't take any damage or something, you know what I mean? You get like
Oh,
drops,
right,
and then you
yeah.
might get bonus gil, and then you can use that to buy loot boxes. I don't think it's going to be like a store that has weapons. I think it's going to be all loot boxes. So you'll be able
Yeah.
to, okay, so it's 100 gil for a loot box. Okay, so I got 200 gil. I'll get 2 loot boxes with the in-game currency. Or you can buy a bundle of 10 for a discount, at $4.99 instead of $7.99 or something like that. But I think it's going to be randomized. I don't think they're going to have a
Yeah.
shop that where you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy, the most expensive weapon that's super overpowered right away. I just don't see
Yeah,
them doing that. I
definitely.
feel like it's going to be loot boxes for a set cost, bundles of loot boxes. Like you said, probably promos where there's a discount on loot boxes, or you get a bonus experience or bonus guild during this time when you play the game on this day or between these hours. And then you could also hopefully use in-game currency to buy these
Yeah.
loot boxes. Or maybe when you level up, you get a free loot box. Like in
Yeah,
Overwatch,
exactly.
your profile, like you level up your profile, so you get a free loot box every time you level it up, and you need, I
Oh,
think,
that's
a
nice, yeah.
1,000 experience. So you don't need to buy loot boxes if you don't want to. But Overwatch, they don't give any stat bonuses. It's just cosmetics. It's
Mm.
just cosmetics, which is good because you're not changing
The gameplay,
the
yeah.
gameplay, which is like, it feels bad when you're playing a game and somebody else has spent $100 on these, paywalled weapons and
Yeah.
items where it's just not it's not fun because you just die immediately when you spawn
Yeah,
into this
exactly.
game. Kind of like that was how it was with Star Wars Battlefront, actually. Like it
Oh,
was
right,
so
yeah.
demotivating because you would spawn in, you could play with the base weapons and unlock, but it took so much time to unlock those. And
Mm.
then other people had already been playing the game for so long, or they spent so much money that they already had the most powerful weapons. So like I would just load in and then I'd literally get headshot like right away and
Wow.
die. And then
Yeah,
I
that
quit
sucks.
playing it. I quit playing it because it was not fun. And I was not going
Yeah,
to
it
spend
was a
money.
mess, yeah.
Even if I spent money, I would never catch up to those other people, Like it was just a losing proposition. So
Yeah, it's pay to win.
yeah. And I hope it's not like that. And I
Mm.
think I'm okay with it being like gotcha. I'm okay with it. I like that it's free, so you can actually experience it beginning to end without spending any money. I like
Yep.
that. I hope that it's not like the difficulty level of the enemies as you progress gets so high that you can't progress without buying loot
Mm.
boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I also hope that it's not just like with level up that you gain get free loot boxes. Maybe also when you defeat the boss, or
Yeah.
rarely in the field when you open a chest, maybe there's a loot box in there,
Yeah.
just to incentivize people to keep playing, to beat
I
bosses,
agree.
to do those challenges, to explore everything, but not to the amount that it can replace buying those loot boxes. Just kind of the cherry on top a little bit
Yeah.
to bait you into buy more,
Yeah, I
because
totally
then you
agree.
can still this you can still decide to not buy anything. Of course, if you're a
Mhm.
gambling addict, it will be hard, and this is
Of
a
course.
system I don't really like, especially for
I
those people
agree.
who can't resist. On the other hand, people who can resist can just play the game and still be happy, and
Mhm.
don't really care about playing it a bit more and repeating certain missions more, or just explore more to get to the same result. As long as the balancing is okay, as long as the gameplay is fun and it feels fair.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think the likelihood of that happening is higher because this isn't like an online game, like a competition game. It's just a story experience, beginning to end with the OG and all the games in the compilation. So it's like, you will be able to progress through it without buying any loot. And if you want, the option's there, and I think it'll enrich the experience. But I just don't see it being as bad as other mobile games that have gacha mechanics where it's literally pay to win. I just don't see it being like that. And maybe I'll be wrong when it comes out. Maybe I'll be absolutely wrong, but
oh, for sure, we don't know.
Yeah, but I hope not.
I just hope the costumes are not like especially hard to get or exorbitantly expensive to get, because I like my alternate costumes. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And if I like the game, I might drop a few dollars, euros, Swiss francs, whatever, to maybe get some.
Yeah.
To support the developers, because it's free otherwise.
Exactly.
So this is not bad to support them with however much money you want.
Yeah.
I just hope that I don't forget about how much I already spent, so that I end up with like $200-300 or something. This would be not good. But I'm usually pretty restrained.
I agree with you. And if this is the only game that you play and you want to support it and that's it, go for it. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like
yeah.
my friend, the only game that he plays is literally Dota. And they have arcanas and all of these, crazy sets that are just cosmetic, but it changes their ability animations, how they look, how they move, how they cast their abilities.
Like prestige, yeah.
Yeah, and some of those items are $50. But if that's the only game that he plays, he wants to support the developers. It's like, whatever, that's the only game you play. Even it's like, if you have the money, then go for it, like why not? You support the developers. I'm all for it. Like I'm definitely gonna spend money on this. Like who am I to talk? I'm probably gonna spend up to way too much money on this for sure. But and it's Final Fantasy VII, so I'm into it. Like I want to, Yeah.
Definitely. And there are some people that just keep buying games and not even finish them or forget about them, like Humble Bundles and games on sale on the PSN or Xbox Live and wherever, and just buy games, play them, sometimes a little bit, sometimes fully, sometimes halfway through, sometimes, as I said, they forget about they even have it.
Yeah.
And that's also money that's being thrown out of the window, quote unquote, because they don't actually use all of the value they get.
Yeah.
So if you don't pay for many games, and there are only a few games you play, but they're free or just cheap, and you support developers with dropping like $50 a month or something for loot boxes, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah.
There are even whales that pay like $1,000 a month, and they have the money. As long as they don't bankrupt themselves and are happy with that, sure, go ahead.
A lot of people are apprehensive though, because I feel like they're thinking, oh, well, it's Square Enix. They're cashing in.
Yeah, I understand.
This is the nature of the gaming industry. Like, it's been like this for a while, and it's going to continue to be like this. I just don't.
Yeah, because it's profitable.
Yeah, and I think that it's great. You know what? They're taking advantage of that, and it's more money for Final Fantasy games, and I'm all for that. And I'm happy to support Square Enix, and if it's bad, it's bad. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be, critiquing it and giving my opinion. But my opinion is my opinion. Other people will love this game. It doesn't matter, if I don't like it, maybe I resonate with somebody else's opinion, but other people might love it, and that's totally fine too. If this is your type of thing,
definitely.
Yeah, I'm any like Final Fantasy VII content. I can't wait to play these, and I'm super into it. I guess we'll see how it goes, but yeah.
Yep, definitely.
So Nomura goes on to explain that the original Final Fantasy VII storyline will take up to around 10 chapters. So he does say that it should give you an idea about how much the other titles will uncover as well. So within the original Final Fantasy VII story, the team will escape from Midgar in Chapter 3. So this is super interesting for me. I I don't know where, but I feel like somebody on Twitter, I think, had said that they're starting with the original Final Fantasy VII OG storyline with this game as like the first episode, like the first chapter that's
Oh, for
coming out for
sure.
Ever
Yeah.
Crisis is gonna be from FF7 OG, but I don't think there's no official statement that says anything like that. So I was thinking, well, it could potentially start right at the beginning, but I don't know. Anyways, there was like a Max Dude video that was posted that apparently Max had discovered like evidence that part 2 is like coming out sooner than what is
Oh, I think I
expected,
saw that. Yeah.
because he
Hmm.
says, well, if we leave Midgar in chapter 3, and then the first chapter comes out in June, and he's like calculating this thing
Hmm.
and figuring out, oh, well, we're going to see parts of part 2 in this mobile game, like assets that could potentially be used in part 2. I just don't see them doing that. I don't see them giving us assets for part 2 in a mobile game. Like, I just don't see them doing that. And then my thought process was, well, who's to say that they're even going to start with the Final Fantasy VII OG storyline? Like Before Crisis happens before, and we never got that. So they could start right at the beginning and go chronologically,
Hmm.
or they could start with Final Fantasy VII OG storyline, but they go up to a certain part of that story, and then it's
Yep.
kind of like that story in itself freezes, and then
Hmm.
we get Before Crisis Chapter 1. Like maybe it
Hmm.
goes up to the escape from Midgar, and then there's something that happens where they'll take a break from the original story and then show us either a flashback or something where the history of what they're talking about has happened in a previous compilation game, and then the next 3 chapters is from Before Crisis or Crisis Core or something else.
Advent Children, even.
Yeah, like I just don't see them giving all of Final Fantasy VII OG right up front and giving
I'm
us
certain they won't. Yeah.
assets from part 2 in a mobile game. I
Yeah.
just don't see that.
Especially since the battle models are pretty much the same as in the remake. Maybe not as high fidelity, but
Mhm.
in general, they are the same. So if we leave Midgar and then meet Yuffie, or even enter a town. Well, no, the town not really, because outside it's
Mhm.
still much closer to the original, like in terms of scale. But it's more like about the battle models. Yuffie we already have, so they could potentially go up to the gold saucer when we get
Mhm.
Kate Sith, and stop before the gold saucer
Yeah.
without giving away anything.
But even then they're showing us parts outside of Midgar, which we
Oh, for
haven't
sure,
seen
yeah.
yet in Remake. So,
The original game also is still there to play on the PS4 and PS5 for that
mhm.
matter.
Yeah.
So people could also just play this and know what's going on. But I don't think that's a problem, because not everything will play out the same.
Yeah.
Even if we follow the similar path, it still won't play out exactly the same, and certain details will change and be expanded upon or something. So it's perfectly fine to show us the events, but I'm just a bit like Max said with the assets in battle. If we get the Kate Sith asset first before part 2 drops in the mobile title, then I'm not sure how I should feel about that, because then it's a character reveal, how he looks and sort
Yeah.
of plays and moves in battle, without the main game being introduced or being released. So I'm rather leaning towards the idea of switching between the games, like
Mhm.
releasing 1 or 2 or even 3 chapters of
I
OG,
agree.
then maybe 1 or 2 from Crisis Core, from
I
Before
agree.
Crisis, Advent Children too, because Advent Children, those events will most likely not happen anymore in the
Mhm.
new timeline. That's why they can also bring out the full of the entirety of Dirty Cerberus. So they have a lot to work with
Yes.
before they have to go into spoiler territory in terms of assets. for the battle models. So
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's what's going to happen. Like, we're going to start probably with Final Fantasy VII OG, go up to the Escape of Midgar, or we go to a certain part of that story where they stop, and then the next chapter is if they're referencing something that they're talking about in at that time, then it's going to be shown in Before Crisis, and then it'll go, or like you said, Crisis Core. You know what I mean? Like, potentially if they're talking about Zack even, and then it's like freezing, and then we are, playing Crisis Core, like the first few chapters of that game or something. I'm not sure like how it'll eventually work out, but I just don't see them giving us the entire Final Fantasy VII OG up front and showing us assets from part 2 in a mobile game. I just don't see it. And I don't think that predicts that part 2 is coming out in 2022. I don't think so.
nah, first quarter of 2023, the earliest.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
which is
around
what we've
3
been saying
years
for a
before
while.
after the first game. Yeah.
Because Ever Crisis comes out in 2022, right?
Yeah, but we don't know in which month. It could start in December for all we know.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
still up in the air. What I also just thought about is in Crisis Core and Before Crisis, we see that Cloud is just a mere infantryman and didn't make it into soldier. So
Yeah.
I think those chapters will only release after we get the chapters from the original game, after Cloud emerges from the live stream and regains his full memories
Okay.
back.
Hmm.
Like, only afterwards will we get the chapters where we see Cloud in Before Crisis and Crisis Core. Because otherwise
Okay.
it will just spoil it for those who haven't played the original and just want to play Ever Crisis to know things. I hope they stay sensible or sensitive to that, to
Yeah.
keep this in mind, that those games don't spoil each other.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I
Yeah.
like that idea. I like this, like what we've talked about. I think that it makes sense. And I think that it'll keep everything fresh as well, where
Yeah.
people will be experiencing these stories in a different order, So it's like not essentially the same as what they experienced when they played all of these games
Yeah, exactly.
when they first came out, like years and years ago. It's going to be a new experience. I just feel like it's going to be interspersed in between. I just don't see them giving us the whole game up front in chapters. Okay, so now you're done Final Fantasy VII OG. Now you're gonna go. Now it's all the chapters from Crisis Core.
No,
Boom,
I
here
don't
you
think
go.
so.
Yeah,
This would be kind of strange and forced, in my opinion.
that's why I was thinking they could go in chronological order. Like they could start with Before Crisis even, but then I feel like it would be hard to give context, where people who are new to this series might not even know who. You know what I mean? Like, who are these people? Because you find out who the Turks are from playing the original Final Fantasy VII. So you probably wouldn't have as much context. You'd probably be more lost and everything. But anyway.
That's why I think they really need to start with the first 3 chapters from the original, to give context, to introduce those characters, how it actually started back then in 1997. Because otherwise it will start off weird. You get introduced to concepts that you need kind of a basic knowledge of.
That's true.
So yeah. I also think, I hope they release it chronologically within a certain game. Like actually start with the first chapter of Dirge Cerberus, the first chapter of Advent Children. But they could also completely make it chronological, a complete chronological chaos. Like start in the middle of Before Crisis, and let's say they release a chapter where about Aerith in Before Crisis, then the chapter with second Aerith in Crisis Core. After we meet Aerith in the OG, like that's 3 chapters release at the same time. It's where Cloud meets Aerith in OG, where Zack meets Aerith in Crisis Core, where the player Turk meets Aerith in Before Crisis, for example. Kind of like an Aerith pack, a Tifa pack. I don't know. It's probably will be a bit more difficult logistically and story-wise, but it's also something they could do. to kind of give more context to the character. What happened to this character in the past as well, or how is this character doing in the future, for example, like in Advent Children or something. I don't know. Yeah, I just hope they release they create a release schedule that makes sense story wise, like storytelling wise, even if it's achronological, or what's the opposite of chronological? Achronological? I don't know. Just
I
the
have no
inverse,
idea.
like just everything interspersed and however they want to call it, they want to do it. It works. It works in certain stories. For example, I personally think that Beyond Two Souls worked the way it was presented in the first playthrough. But other people want everything chronologically, so who am I to judge?
Yeah, but then another aspect of this as well is that there's probably a pool of unlocked characters, right? So how would they have like the story, let's say, like you're experiencing it in a different order with these characters that are like in like the narrative context, like it's showing them in cutscenes, they're talking blah blah blah, and then you're not using them in battle. Like because you've unlocked, let's say, Tifa and Barrett, and you that's who you want to use. Like I just don't know how that's gonna work. Like
that depends. That depends if story-related battles are unlocked for any character or not. Because as they talk about, I think here as well,
yeah, they
a bit
do.
later, that you can choose whom you play as, but only in special battles and challenges and dungeons, not really in
Oh,
the story.
okay.
It sounded to me that in the story themselves, in the chapters, it's locked.
Oh,
But
okay. That
outside
makes
of that,
sense.
we have you can just choose which battles
Okay.
to perform. Like
I
maybe
like that.
it's a boss gauntlet of the original, like a
Mm-hmm.
Midgar boss gauntlet challenge or something. And then you go through it and can choose Zack and Genesis and
Mm-hmm.
Kadaj to go crazy. I don't know.
Cool.
Just some random stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and probably not Kadaj and Genesis because those are enemies, but
Yeah.
you know what you mean. What I mean, just
Yes.
characters we've already unlocked in the main story we can use for those challenge runs,
Mm-hmm.
be it dungeons or boss gauntlets or something.
Yeah.
That this could also then tie into daily challenges, so weekly challenges and new challenges, new dungeons that get released with a new chapter pack and stuff. Yeah, could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. All right, so they do go on to say that all new stories will be told inside Ever Crisis. So I'm assuming that this is referring to the extra story content that's going to be in The First Soldier for
Yeah.
people who, I guess, don't pick that game up or they didn't experience it. They're not going to miss out on any of the story content that's going to be given there. They're going to put it in Ever Crisis. And this could be referring to more new stories that, are new that weren't in the original of any of these games that will be added to Ever Crisis. So I'm excited for this.
Definitely. Yeah, Nomura even tells about this here. The First Soldier takes place around 30 years before the Final Fantasy VII main story and goes into the founding of Soldier, so it goes without saying that you will see some of the legendary heroes in their younger days, as well as younger versions of the future Shinra executives, and other characters will appear in the Final Fantasy VII Remake sequels. I think that it will really add depth to some of the characters who we do not have room to show fully in the main games. So, backstory of Reeve, Scarlet, Heidegger, Palmer, maybe Shinra executives, maybe even some of the Turks, how they joined the Turks in Before Crisis, like additional stories. Because in Before Crisis, Reno and Root are already there, part of the Turks. So maybe we get some more stories for them, even further into the past. Some other obscure characters like Elfane Veld from Before Crisis, or maybe something about those we've met in the remake already, but are not part of the original game, like Leslie and Kyrie, which are drawn from a novel. Maybe some of more of those, how they were in the past. Some small part in one of the chapters. I don't know. Possibilities are endless. Bugenhagen flashback. And he
Yes.
was a wee little lad learning about planetology and writing his books.
I
don't
love
know.
it.
Or Seto.
Yes, please give us all of that.
Yeah, backstory
Please.
of Seto, how he and his wife managed to push back against the
Let's
G
go.
or Gi tribe.
I want Zangan.
Yeah.
I want Zangan content.
Oh yes, please, Zangan. Yeah. Now you made my mouth water for this game. I really want to know what all those characters were doing in the past.
Yeah. All right, and then they go on to state the reason why Aerith is shown battling the guard scorpion in the trailer. So I know that obviously the Final Fantasy VII demo way back when did have Aerith as a playable character, like before she shows up in the original game. And this was to show, I guess, that there are like unlockable characters, right? In the the boss battles, or like you had said, there's a specific mode where they have unlockable characters where you can actually unlock Aerith and use her in the battle, like way before she shows up in the story, essentially. So
yeah, he says here it's from a new mode that allows you to go into special dungeons and battles to have non-canon scraps. Yeah, it's exactly that. These battles will allow players to enjoy taking on the mightiest enemies from the series using their dream party in ways that the story battles do not allow. So story battles and the challenge battles are completely separate, it seems.
Yeah.
That was right before, yeah. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. And also, as you mentioned, it's an allusion to their official demo in 1996 or 7. I don't quite remember when it's released. Aerith was in there. We were also able to cast level 2 magic, like Fire 2, Bolt 2 and stuff, and summon Leviathan.
Yes.
And we also saw Leviathan being summoned in Ever Crisis demo trailer. So this is definitely just a throwback to this demo. But to show that this is actually possible, it's not just demo stuff, but actually within this game, just not in the main story, but in those challenge runs.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So the article does go on to say that Square Enix knows that you want to play Final Fantasy VII compilation games on current consoles.
Yep.
So Nomura says, we have also seen that people want to be able to play the various different series titles on the current console hardware. So the design concept behind Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is not intended to be a replacement for that, but a convenient and casual way to touch on these games. So hopefully, we do get these compilation games on current generation consoles, and this kind of is reassuring to me that they know that we want that. Whether it's going to be a port of Ever Crisis on new hardware is yet to be seen. Nobody's really given any information about that.
Unfortunately.
The only thing is, I don't know how they would keep the gacha mechanics of the mobile version of the game if they just ported it. So obviously they'd have to make changes there because PlayStation, like PS5 has its own store. We have the PS Store. So I just don't know if it's going to be the same as mobile, because mobile, like buying this is a lot easier, I feel, than like buying these things on a PS5. So they probably have to adapt it, or it's just a completely different game where it's not the same. Like it's similar, you know what I mean? But it's not an exact just port with the same exact mechanics. But hopefully this means there's something in the work for the current generation consoles, and we'll be able to get to play these experiences on PS5 and Xbox One Series X and potentially PC. That would be super cool. So
I for sure hope so, yeah. Although MaxDude also said that he will be using BlueStacks, a mobile game emulator, to play this. He doesn't play on phones.
Yeah.
Me neither, so I might just try this one.
That makes sense, yeah. I think it's for PC, right? And Android, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
The emulator could be also it's BlueStacks should be an Android game emulator on PC, as far as I understood it.
Okay.
But I haven't made my research, so I just keep this name in mind, and as soon as it releases, I'll just try to make it work.
All right, and last but not least, in the article, it talks about music, presentation, and more. So Nomura confirms that the music used in Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis will be all new arrangements, but based on the originals. So this is super
Mm,
interesting to me.
yes.
And it's
So new
exciting.
OST.
It's exciting,
It
just to hear
is,
new
yeah.
arrangements, kind of refreshed versions of the original songs that we haven't heard yet, potentially. I wonder if they're going to use the arrangements that were used in Remake as well, like dispersed throughout, or do you think we'll get like brand new?
I think new because I'm pretty sure they want to provide a similar audible experience or auditory experience throughout
Hmm.
the whole Ever Crisis, so that all of them sound the same,
Yeah.
unless they take remake soundtrack, add new ones if necessary, especially for all the other games, but just in the
Hmm.
same quality. But I do have a feeling that they will specifically rearrange those for this mobile title.
Hmm.
I have a feeling for that, which is also nice because that also means new OST to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can't get enough from all those different
Right?
arrangements.
Yeah, so first we'll get the Ever Crisis OST, and then we'll get like the super duper soundtrack, and then we'll get this super extra plus soundtrack.
Yeah. And the super mega
Yeah.
prologue, 25 over 60 days prelude, whatever soundtrack.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm stoked for this though. I think it'll be good. It'll add a new element and make it sound more,
Yeah.
refreshed, and
Mm.
they're not rehashing, just using the remake music. I'm sure they'll probably have new arrangements of the
Yeah.
remake tracks as well. And they didn't say
Maybe,
if we'll
yeah.
get brand new songs, did they?
It
It
doesn't
doesn't
say
say.
here. It's
Yeah,
just
I'm sure we will.
all new arrangements, but based on the originals.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
arrangements. I wonder if we'll get some brand new tracks. I guess we'll find out.
It's possible they might use Avalanche's new theme at some
Okay.
point, maybe.
Mm.
But it also it all depends on how they will depict the games. If they just go beat by beat of the
Yeah.
original game and not add anything new besides those new backstories of certain characters, then I can see it's just the original soundtrack rearranged for all
Yeah.
the games and
Hmm.
Advent Children.
All right, so moving on, we are just quickly going to talk about the Square Enix March 18th event that happened. So we didn't get any Final Fantasy VII Remake content, but we did get the reveal of a new IP called Forspoken, which was essentially Project Athia. And we got some other games being shown as well. I thought that it was okay. Oh, it was for Life is Strange as well, which
Yeah,
got
True
revealed as
Colors.
well. Yeah, which is huge. I know a lot of people are into that game and they're super excited about this as well. For me, Forspoken, I thought it looked cool. I'm interested to see where it's going to go, like what exactly it is. I think that it's a little bit difficult to kind of grasp exactly what it is just based on
Mhm.
what they showed, because it was pretty short. Like it was the
It was,
in-game
yeah.
cutscene or trailer that they did show was quite short. So it looks cool. I'm interested to see, what this ends up being. And yeah.
Yeah, same here. It looks really good and interesting, and those short gameplay bits also looked promising. I haven't
Hmm.
had the time to look into it frame by frame to glean more about the mechanics because I'm still busy with Intergrade.
Yes.
Um, but I personally need to see more, like actually longer gameplay segments where you see how the battle system works, how traversal works, how everything works together. Kind of maybe
Hmm.
some 10 or 15-minute gameplay presentation would be nice at some point,
Yeah, I
just
agree.
to see and experience how it is without actually using a controller. To yeah, to make up my mind if it's something I want to play and buy.
Hmm.
Maybe, probably. I really hope it's something I feel I want to.
Yeah.
But I currently I can't say because I've seen too little, don't really know anything about the
Mhm.
story, the potential story, what it's all about and how it'll play. So, but it looks good. That's certainly a plus. This is also the only trailer of two I watched. I wasn't at home while it aired, so I had to watch afterwards. And then I saw that the individual trailers were already released, so I just looked through them and watched True Colors, Life is Strange True Colors, and Forspoken. The other ones weren't really
Mhm.
of much interest for me.
Yeah, same here.
Um, so yeah, True Colors also looks good and interesting, but I don't know, since Life is Strange 2, I kinda lost interest a little bit. I
Okay.
don't really know why. Maybe I'm just too busy with other games, and other games are just more enticing to me. If I
Yeah.
had much more time to play games, I probably would jump right into it again because I love the first one, and this side story with Chloe was also pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Some people cringe at the sight of Life is Strange. I know why, but I kind of find it endearing,
I
like
think
those
so too.
characters and what you can do. And I also love those visual novel style or inspired games where you can choose your own path and have different
Yeah, I love that.
outcomes and different scenes. It's really interesting for a completionist like me. That's also why I like David Cage's game, like Beyond Two Souls
Mhm.
and Heavy Rain, and the latest one, Detroit Become Human. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's also my jam if I have the time, that is.
Yeah, that's me. I just like I played the first Life is Strange. I loved it, and then I didn't go back to the series after that because I'd just
Oh, I
been so
see. Yeah.
busy. And
Mm.
the amount of time that I have to play games, I'm playing games that I know I'm going to enjoy, and I'm not really buying into something that's a completely different experience. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't know. Like I might end up getting Forspoken when it comes out. It's a new IP, a new experience. I'm not sure, but it depends on where I am at that point, what's going on in my life, and
Oh,
like,
yes, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I might not have time. But somebody on Twitter, I think they had said something interesting to me, which was about how I guess people shouldn't be concerned about how they're gonna do terrain traversal and like stuff for part two and part three of the remake. For example, like Cosmo Canyon and stuff, because there's like a part in the Forspoken trailer that shows the main character like jumping and like traversing this terrain that's similar to Cosmo Canyon. And they're
Oh, I
like,
see.
oh,
Yeah,
if you
yeah, I
feel
remember.
like, you don't think Square Enix is going to be able to do more like an open world part for that
Nah.
part of of remake, then oh, look at what they can do in Forspoken and whatever. And I thought that was interesting because there is a part of the map that does kind of look reminiscent of
A little bit, yeah,
Cosmo
that's true.
Canyon. Yeah, so it's
To be fair,
interesting.
in Horizon Zero Dawn, it also has an area
Hmm.
which looks kind of akin
Yeah.
to Cosmo Canyon, yeah. So it's not something unique.
Yeah. All right, so the last thing we are talking about today, we do have a listener question from Rima. So thank you so much, Rima, for your question. And here it is. It says Remake gave us Midgar with cats, cat quests, and retconned Wedge as a cat enthusiast. What other weird details like this would you like to see in other locations? The next big city we visit will be Junon. So in the OG, it was populated with some dogs. Could it get the same treatment as Midgar with some dog related content? What other locations could be improved with such twists? And how would that look? Hmm. So all I wrote was, I hope so. So I ran out of
Fair
time to
point.
go into more detail about this before we had to start to record. But I think that it's a great opportunity. Absolutely. I think that they're going to go
Mm,
there for Junon, the Junon segment of the story. Absolutely. I think they took the cat's part and they expanded on that in, part one of the remake. And now it would be a cool juxtaposition, I guess, to kind of get some dog content,
mm, for sure.
for Junon. And I do see them kind of taking that further, whether it's more like, being used in this story, maybe even might like accompany us on that, going to the beach and the whole Mr. Dolphin
It's the
thing. I don't
dolphin, yeah.
know. I'm just trying to think here. Like how it might be. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure, but it would be cool, I think, to add that element.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I had written down a few cool ideas I had this afternoon. So for the dogs in Junon makes sense, especially since it's a police military setting, and it's de facto a Shinra base.
That
So
makes sense.
dogs is just a natural companion there, that we see many dogs, police dogs, military dogs,
Yeah.
dogs who who maybe are able to sniff out Cloud wherever he goes. I don't know.
Hmm.
Then about cats, Wutai also has a lot of cats. It even has a 100 cats house, or however it's
Oh
called. It's
yeah.
just
Oh
a house
yeah.
full of cats.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so Wutai cats confirmed. And what I can also see is dolphin riding in Costa del Sol. Like Tifa finally
Yeah,
being able to not just manifest dolphin, but actually go play with dolphins.
I love it.
And Mr. Dolphin would then be a foreshadowing in lower Junon, like Tifa, oh, I'd like to ride a dolphin too, but only Cloud can, of course, because it's the main protagonist. But then in Costa del Sol, she says, screw it, I'm catching one myself, and then you see her in the distance just racing around with a dolphin, something.
Yeah,
Would be nice.
that would be cool.
Fort Condor lends itself to being a base for eagles, condors, and other birds. And because of that, they don't have a rat problem. Where the slums, Sector 7 slums had a rat problem, as we got to feel firsthand with the quest. I can also see moles being sort of part of North Corral, maybe pets or helpers for digging up stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be cool, definitely, yeah. And on the way to North Corral, there's, if you remember, there's also this nest with mini cockatrice chicks. If you try to get the treasure, which is 10
Oh
Phoenix
yeah.
Stones, the cockatrice will attack you, the mother. So maybe they expand on this, and there's maybe even a miner who is friends with them and takes care of them, because maybe there's only the female around. The male got maybe killed or something, and the North Corral miner saved the little ones, and they're now friends. And if we mess with them, he'll be mad at us. And if we leave them alone, he will probably just give us some items for whatever. Maybe not at the start, because Barrett is there and they hate Barrett, and us by proxy too, probably. I don't know, just maybe tie those things in a little bit would be nice. Wait, isn't there also a hidden cave just underneath? I don't remember if there's a guy inside or not. Like before you actually leave this part, you can take the other train track, like behind the rock and near to closer to the water, body of water. And if there's a guy there, maybe it's even that guy. If you talk to him and didn't do anything with the nest, he gives you whatever. And if you disturb the nest, he will know, and he will just yap at you and snap at you and call you out, and you won't get anything. Then a really, really strange idea I had. I don't really know why, but Sid could own his own aquarium. Not like a zoo aquarium, but just a smaller ones with fish, and he tends to them, and it's really nice to those fish. But only to those fish. Everyone else, he just yells at them and is rough and swears and stuff. But those fish, he really loves them. But still, he then Shera could also use them for creating sushi. He might first be upset that she takes away his fishes, but they taste so good, and then he starts to love sushi. And she learned this from someone who visited from Wutai, and then he sits then and goes to Wutai with us, and then manages to taste the real sushi stuff, and is in heaven, and I don't know, just some crazy connections would be nice.
That would be cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Although kind of dark if she like cooks his pet fish.
Yeah, a bit. It's kind of to get back at him for being abusive a little bit, at least verbally.
That sounds cool. I like that element. Yeah, that's true, because he's a little abusive towards her. Oh my gosh.
But then she feels bad and just makes him good sushi and tries to make it up to him, and just tries to get him calm down and forget the past. I don't know. Just something, because I think they need to remedy their relationship at least a little bit, because exactly how it's depicted in the original is a little bit weird, especially in a not comical setting, because now everything looks much more real and sounds real. Back then, with those Lego people and only in text, they could get away with those because it was comical from the start. But yeah, I really hope that they do some crazy crap with Sid there.
Yeah.
Like, to juxtapose his rough nature with something that he cherishes.
Yeah, I agree.
And not just the rocket, because the rocket is why he's the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Vincent has a pet spider. And most people listening probably know where I have this idea from. It's the machine abridged FF7 series.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you see a spider run over his face, and Barry's like, oh, please, do this away. I hate spiders. It's fun. And if they expand on Bone Village, why not an archaeology museum where you see like life forms that lived 2,000 years ago when Genova came to the planet? Maybe even some dragons that are not alive anymore. Maybe even remnants of some beasts back then, summoned beasts or something. I don't know. Just to enlarge the lore a little bit, expand on the lore, just by showing us stuff from the past without dialogue or stuff. Just show us the juicy bits. And huskies at Icicle Inn. They're so adorable.
Yeah.
Maybe even maybe we can even use a husky sled of sorts.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would be cool. Dog sled. Yeah.
Dog sled. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Maybe a mini game.
Maybe minigame or fast
Dog
travel.
sledding.
When we reach Holtzhoff's cabin, we can fast travel back to Icicle Inn through the Great Glacier.
Cool.
Because we need to go through at least once. But then if we went through it, backtracking is a pain. So we can just use his dogs to backtrack Icicle Inn, maybe then go back again. Would be cool. Kind of like an allusion to or a parallel to the Chocobo carriage in the first game.
Right.
As a fast travel option. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I hope that Chocobos are expanded upon a little bit more.
For sure.
Obviously in Remake, we saw them and they're used as a fast travel device, but not really any much more than that, like not much lore or story given, which obviously it comes more like later in the OG.
For sure, yeah.
Which I understand, but I don't know.
You have the Chocobo farm, which can start with it. We have more Chocobos in the Gold Saucer, which we even have to use to prove ourselves to escape, unless they do it differently this time.
Yeah.
We have, Chocobo breeding is for much later. That's for the last part. But I hope they expand upon Chocobos as well, like have them in more places.
Yeah.
Maybe before we get to Buggy, we're also able to run around with them, catch them maybe, but not breed them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to do in the future parts. And I think that the potential is there to really expand on this and add some more elements there. Just some cute little touches and things that will, I guess, like comedic moments, or like you had said, with Sid and the aquarium or something like that. And I don't know. I think that it's open really to see, they can literally do anything. And I think that definitely, I think we're going to see the dogs, and I think they're going to expand on that a little bit in Junon. And I think that it would be cool to see, I don't know if this will happen or not, but maybe, a dog helps them even maybe, or I don't know, like a military dog or a police dog or something like that. And there's some kind of...
Aerith calls him Stamp.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's some kind of, I don't know, something that happens where one shows up and it's trying to help them, but they're trying to, I don't know, maybe they're more attuned to the live stream and like they come to Aerith and Aerith has a connection with the dog and then the dog is like showing them the way to go or something to help them. And I don't know, like Red 13 is kind of
in
like
the prison.
It'll be interesting to see what his opinion as well is about pets. Like maybe he has
Oh,
some
for sure.
kind
Yeah,
of,
right.
you know, like where he's been captured and he's, you know, like an animal that can talk. Maybe there's a joke there even where
Maybe,
he'll just be like, ugh, you know, like,
yeah.
I don't know. Some kind of comedy can be used there
Oh, for
with
sure,
the
yeah.
story, and maybe he can give his opinion about how he feels about maybe them being used as a tool for humans for, you know, the police and military, and maybe also where, you know, he has to be dressed up in that.
Yeah, and for the Junon cargo ship, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be good. I feel like they're gonna add some funny elements there.
Definitely. Do you remember if there's a dog in the Corral prison underneath Gold Saucer? I think there's a dog somewhere which follows you around a little bit. I don't quite
I
remember.
think so.
But then it's this your idea of a dog helping us out could help there to find the way, or maybe if we get lost in the desert outside, the dog comes to help us and show us the way back or something. Although on the other hand, Red 13 can just do this on his own with his nose. Or maybe his nose is not good enough for this area because he's not used to the desert, and his nose is dry and he sneezes all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they did use a lot of cats in the original, in part 1, so I feel like...
Give the dog some love.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably some side quests as well, you know, with the dogs.
For sure.
And, you know, I guess we'll see.
Find my 3 friends. They have 4 legs and they're a little bit bigger than me.
Yeah.
Another Betty. Betty version 2.0 with the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Sally.
Maybe
not Betty,
Betty's
but it's Sally
even
with
in
the dogs.
Junon. Like she's grown up a bit and now she's there and she has a dog shelter. Like, I don't know.
Oh, you mean Priscilla? Yeah, maybe.
That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
Priscilla. Yeah. Although that wouldn't really make sense, so never mind.
Yeah, because of the dolphin. She's a dolphin girl.
Never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah. Oh, maybe even Tifa is the one who deals the final blow to Bottom Swell with the dolphin limit break, and then Priscilla goes like, "Oh, you have a dolphin too! Yay, you're my friend now."
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so that concludes today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas for upcoming topics, you can write us. Our email is thereunionpodcast@gmail.com, thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. We do have a Discord server for the podcast, so the link for the Discord server is listed in the description of each episode. So you can just click right on that and it'll open up your mobile browser and ask for you to be added to our Discord server. We do have a Twitter account. It's @reunion_podcast. And like I said, we are doing an amazing giveaway right now. We are going to be giving away a digital deluxe edition of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So here's what you have to do. Hop on over to our Twitter and follow us there. And then you can either retweet or quote tweet a posting about the giveaway. And we hopefully will be picking the lucky winner on the date that the game comes out, which is June the 10th. We do have a Facebook profile as well. It's Reunion Podcast. Our YouTube channel is The Reunion Podcast. And our Instagram account is @The Reunion Podcast. And Vyzz, did you want to drop your socials for Cosmo Canyon Observatory?
For sure. So the main channel is on YouTube, of course, called Cosmo Canyon Observatory. It's pretty easy to find. And we also have a Twitter account, which is @cc_observatory. Right now, it's a little bit of a drought with additional content because I have so much to do with Intergrade stuff, but I plan to keep on going with the CCO gems, like those small analyses and screenshots and comparisons. And we also always talk day in, day out on our Discord server, which is also called Cosmo Canyon Observatory, and you can find the link to it on our Twitter bio, and also on the YouTube page in the banner and in each YouTube video in the description. So it's pretty easy to find and to join.
Perfect. And of course, don't forget to like and sub the podcast. Also, write a review if you feel so inclined. Honestly, it is the best way to support us here on the podcast, and it really, really, really helps us. So thank you guys so much for sticking with us for this episode. We can't wait to talk to you guys all soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Stay safe and take care.
Bye, guys.